And so, it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did cry out for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shivering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewn across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one Murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Plz. It begins now. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the rescheduled Blue Plz here on Cynicalbrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. The date today is now the 10th of the 10th of the 10th. Wow, isn't that a awesome number? Big fan of that. Apparently, loads of people want to get married today because apparently 10-10-10 is really, really lucky. I see. So, you know that Gregorian calendar, right? You know, the one that they just created out of thin air. Kind of like the Mayan calendar. You remember that? Yeah, the Mayan calendar where it runs out and everyone apparently dies in 2012. Yeah, so this arbitrary number, 10-10-10, is apparently incredibly lucky. You know what? I'd like to see in a few days, and this is horribly morbid, but you know what? We go look in a few days and then suddenly there's a big news report that says, really, really horrible things happened to everyone that was married on 10-10-10, like a piano fell from the sky, or, sudden lightning strike annihilates half of the congregation. You know, as much as that is horrible and disgraceful, I would have to admit I would laugh a little, just a little. I'd feel really bad about it afterwards, I'd feel very guilty, I'd feel like a horrible person, but I would laugh at it just because, it's really lucky, guys, bang. Oh, it reminds me of this horrible news story I read from 1998 where apparently an entire Congolese football team was killed by a lightning strike, but the opposing team left unharmed. Yeah, if that's not an argument for curses and witch doctory, then I don't know what is. It is 4 minutes past 8 in the British Isles. It is 4 minutes past 7 GMT. As we discovered, a lot of people don't understand the concept of time. It is 4 minutes past 9 in the evening, Central European summertime. And in other places, other times, I really don't care. You're listening to the rescheduled Blue Plz. My name is TotalBiscuit, as you might imagine. What have I got coming up for you in the show today? It is a great question, is it not? The answer is quite simply this. It's kind of the thing that I was going to talk about on Friday before all of our servers broke. As you probably noticed, our servers are significantly better. If you are tuned in to a server called Listen To, then you are tuned into the wrong one. That's the old mirror. Please don't tune into that. There are 2 links on the front page. Server 1 and Server 2. And there are also 3 links to programs that will work, although there are many, many more. It's very, very easy to do. Of course, if you're already listening, you've figured it out. But if you're getting major lag, I would suggest that you use one of the 2 links on the front page and not whatever it is you're using right now. Because everything else is fine. We are monitoring the servers. It works very, very well indeed. We have removed the on-site player because it was causing major CPU destruction. So we run this dual Xeon server. I believe it's, let's see, 2 Xeon processors with 4 cores each. So on Friday's show, we maxed out everything. All the CPUs got maxed to 100% load. It crashed the SQL database, and then it crashed everything else. So, yeah. Bigger boat might be required, but for the time being, we're going to rely on people not being stupid and actually using the proper buttons. As to whether or not press button is too hard, I really, really do not know. I mean, people keep asking, even when we had the front page player, how do you listen to a live show? I don't know, maybe you press the button that says listen, but apparently that's a little bit too complicated for some people. Oh dear. And to think these people might end up very, very, very close to my guild at some point. We'll be talking about that a little bit later, actually. Concerns about Trollface, we're talking about the 1,000 guildie limit that's now been put in place. No, it's not 600, it has been updated. So this is actually an example of Blizzard taking feedback. They said, oh, we're going to make it 600, and then people like, WTF, what? No. So they made it 1,000. Although that does indicate to me that the number was completely arbitrary if they were able to change it by like 40% so quickly. Anyway, whatever the case, we'll be talking about that a little bit later on, how Trollface is going to be organised, and how I envision a very, very large Zergy guild to actually work without being a total waste of time and a social atom bomb. What else? I'm going to tell you why I quit raiding on April the 19th, and why I keep quitting all the time. A lot of people don't know that I quit WoW all the time. Like, I haven't actively played WoW since April, and it's not the first time that I've had an extended hiatus from the game. I'm going to be talking about that and when it's okay to quit and why it is okay to quit a little bit later on in the show. Also, the concept of being a good player. What is a good player? YouTube has a lot of interesting ideas about what being a good player is. Apparently never missing anything ever and being 100% optimal at all possible times is the only way you can be a good player. If you don't do that, then you are terrible! Absolutely terrible. We shall see. We shall see. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Also, your chance to get some questions answered. It's Q&A at the end of the show. Cataclysm related, please. Email into the Murloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. That's where you need to email. Please do not email Cynicalbrit.com. If you do, it's going to get mixed in with the 7,000 plus entries to the beta key contest so far, and I will not read it. So please, use the Gmail, not the Cynicalbrit.com. Thank you. Speaking of the contests, if you don't already know, there is a beta key contest. It ends on Thursday. It is a simple prize draw based on you getting the right answer to a particular question. Go watch the video. It is on my channel. It's front page on my channel. It's very, very easy. There's even an annotation to help you along, because some people got a bit confused. You know what? I should have just let them to rot, but I was feeling benevolent. I don't know why I was feeling benevolent. I can't think of a single good reason why. I'll tell you, running contests is a pain in the ass. However, there are other contests. There are the Blizzard contests, and I've told you about those already. They're in that little video that I put on the front page of youtube.com/TotalHalibut. There is also another contest that I am happy to announce the winners of. I'm going to be doing that in a few short moments' time. I did a contest starting about a month ago for posters. Yes, Cynicalbrit posters. And we got loads of amazing entries. Now, I was simply going to give a WoW timecard out as a prize. But as it turns out, we got so many good entries, I decided we should put in a little bit more money. So Cynicalbrit put some money in, and we got a few generous donations from listeners, so thank you very much for that. So there is over $300 worth of prizes in this poster contest. Now, I have decided to break it down into first, second, and third place, then 7 runners-up, all of which get a prize, and a special prize based on the one that made me laugh the most. So there are 11 prize packages in total. If you did, in fact, have a look at that thread, you'll notice there's about 33 pages of it. So, shall we announce the winners? I think that's a good idea. We'll do that, and then we'll do the mail time, and then we should go into some amazing, wonderful music. Now, here's what's going to be happening. I am going to be posting these in the Tiny Chat, and Ralph is going to post them in the IRC chat. Actually, I don't know if I want to post them in the Tiny Chat. Yeah, here's the problem, right? Those of you who don't know how streaming works, yeah? Shoutcast streaming always has a bit of a delay on it. So if I post something before I've actually said it, then not only am I traveling through time, but I am also spoiling the contest. So, I will post the links in IRC only. Ralph's going to post them as soon as he hears them on the stream. So he's actually listening. He's one of our moderators over in the IRC channel. If you want to go to the IRC channel, go to Cynicalbrit.com. There's IRC chat at the top of the screen. Otherwise, these are all going to get posted on the front page so you can have a look at them, and some of them will be made into actual posters that you can buy if you so desire. So there you go. Okay, folks. Going to announce the runners-up to this contest first. Indeed, that is the runners-up to the contest. Those are the ones that are getting announced first. So, the first runner-up, and you might want to know what these guys win. All of the runners-up win a game of their choice from goodoldgames.com. So any game they want, we will get it for them from goodoldgames.com. The third and second prize winner get any game they want from Steam. Yes, any game, whatever. And if they so desire to get more than one game that is cheaper than, say, $60, then we'll give them a $60 budget to get whatever they want. So that's the second and the third prize winner. We're also going to be throwing some Grunty cards in there as well. We do have a few, so we're going to throw those in there. And I do have those time cards, so we're going to probably put those in there as well. I think I'll give a time card to the second and third place as well. And the top prize is going to be winning a time card, a Grunty, and a prize up to the value of about $100. Here's the problem. This guy lives in a strange country, and it makes it very difficult to actually choose a prize for him, because we don't know what we can actually ship there. So, after we've announced it, we're going to ask him what exactly he wants. And Cynicalbrit's going to buy him a prize worth $100, whatever it is he wants. If he wants games, digital stuff, if he wants WoW time, whatever. We'll sort it all out for him. So those are the prizes that we've put forward for this particular contest. And like I said, there is going to be some merchandise based on this stuff. All of the stuff that we can use that isn't copyright, we'll definitely do it. Obviously, we can't use stuff that's got, like, WoW copyright stuff in it. So, like, the Horde symbol is going to have to be taken out of stuff. If anyone uses model viewer stuff, we can't use that. But anything that's hand-drawn, yeah, we can use that. So there's going to be posters, prints, and hopefully some t-shirts available to expand the merchandise store. And like I said before, for the sale of those, all of the profit from those is going to charity. So I'm not going to be making any money off of that. We're going to make sure that we get hopefully a decent pot of money together, and we'll pick a charity for the proceeds to go to for that. Without further ado, let's kick it off, shall we? If you're not in IRC, then you don't get to see the posters. Yes, indeed, you need to be in the IRC channel. Otherwise, you'll just have to wait till after the show when I post it on the front page. The first runner-up, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's see if I've got it in the right order. Should do. God, I hope so. There we go. The first runner-up goes by the name of Crimssonclover, who made a fantastic poster that said, "Cynical self-interest has never been so interesting." And it has a very evil-looking me on the front with a piggy bank, an evil, cynical piggy bank in its top hat. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. That was great. So you are the first runner-up in our contest. Congratulations to Crimssonclovers. The second runner-up in our contest is Myrddon, who came up with a fantastic poster that says, "Keep calm and oh, you've built one of those," with a picture of a mothership. So I'm a big fan of that one. That was great. You are our second runner-up for the day. Our third runner-up, ladies and gentlemen, he goes by the name of TombstoneX, who had a very informative poster that says, "Be a good troll and please leave the trolling to the professionals." The nice hand-drawn troll there, nice British flag in the background, a warning at the top that says, "This show may cause serious harm to those with low IQ, those that QQ, or the totally suck at games. May lead to those that might even blow their own brains out after the high voltage of ranting." Yes, the door is to your left. Big fan of that one, so congratulations to him. TombstoneX, you are our third runner-up in the Cynicalbrit poster contest. The fourth runner-up in the Cynicalbrit poster contest goes by the name of Soulpiercer. Congratulations to him. He came up with a fantastic poster. It says, "Sometimes you just feel epic," with a great and amazing drawing of a troll there in the hat. Good stuff. Big fan of that one. Very understated as well. I like the sort of darker style to it. Very cool. So yes, he also wins a GOG game of his choice. Okay. Now, some people are actually linking these in the Tiny Chat, so that's great. I'm not going to do it myself, because obviously I don't want to spoil it and have it lag and all that stuff. You know how it goes. Okay, the next one. The next winner, ladies and gentlemen. He goes by the name, he is a runner-up, of course, of Jingy. Congratulations to Jingy, who did an absolutely stellar troll poster. Really great. I like the red and blue on there. That's excellent. The red and blue motif on the troll with the hat. Good stuff. Big fan of that one. You are yet another runner-up in our contest. What else do we have? Myandra also is a runner-up in our contest. He has, or she, has a fantastic poster. Nice hand-drawn little mottle effect on there as well. It's kind of like a chibi troll, I suppose, with an even tinier murloc that says, "Are you epic enough?" It's a good answer, and a good question. Not necessarily in that order. And our final runner-up, before we go with the top 3, ladies and gentlemen, is Platfus123, who came up with a fantastic hand-drawn. This was done in coloured pencil. Massive fan of this. Great big banner with an evil skull guitar and like a Cynicalbrit iconic motif on that. Massive fan of that one. That is really, really good indeed. So congratulations to him. Okay. Bear in mind, this show will be a little longer. I'm not going to cut off the mail segment just for this. So don't worry, folks. Do not worry. Number 3. Third place winner in our Cynicalbrit poster contest, who wins a Steam game of his choice, or up to $60 worth of Steam games of his choice. Whatever he wants, we do not mind. Third place in our contest goes to CruelCat, who did a fantastic manipulation of the Cynicalbrit sort of ranty TotalBiscuit logo. He turned it into a troll, and this poster is all done originally. It's great because this doesn't use any copyright stuff, so that's fantastic. He actually redrew a bunch of troll motifs. He had the fantastic background, the cynicaltroll.mon. Stop whining, yes indeed. Even got the great red spiky hair in the background there. Huge fan of that one. Such a good poster. So some congratulations to CruelCat. You win yourself Steam games of your choice. Oh yes. Okay. Second place also wins Steam games of his choice. Oh, yes. What do we have for that one? Well, the second place is Lucius North, who brings us a wonderful, absolutely wonderful picture of a big troll with giant tusks playing a guitar. That's really, really good. I'm sorry, look at that. That's unbelievably awesome. Such a fan of that particular piece of artwork. Absolutely incredible. So thank you very much to Lucius North. He is our second prize winner for today. Now, the first prize winner. Like I said, he lives in an Asian country. So, that means that we really don't know what we can send him, honestly. But all I can say is we'll get in touch with him. And all of these guys, by the way, if you've won a contest, you do need to contact me via the forums, via a private message, so that I can authenticate your identity based on what you posted. So this guy wins $100 of whatever the hell he wants. I don't know what he wants. If he wants something from the UK, I'll post it over. That's fine. Like I said, we don't know what to get him. I don't even know how WoW works in Taiwan. I have no idea. I don't know if you can buy time for it, if you even run on the same servers. So like I said, $100 worth of whatever the hell he pleases for this one. And the first prize winner for the Cynicalbrit poster contest is Minori! Congratulations to Minori, who came up with a wonderful trollface.jpg once ya mon recruitment poster. Unbelievably good. Oh my god, when I saw this thing. He actually did a bunch of other really great ones, but that was my personal favorite. Holy crap. So very good. Congratulations to him. Now, I said there'll be one final prize for the one that made me laugh the most. Special prize for this one. He also gets himself a WoW time card, and most likely a Grunty as well if we have any spare. And the special prize for the one that made me laugh the most is to go into Angrod, who made a poster that said, "Did you think hyper-intelligent dinosaur can't attack your home? Watch best Cataclysm news on Cynicalbrit.com." Hand-drawn, unbelievable Subject 9 raptor thing. Holy crap. I love... the broken English is what makes it. It's like one L in intelligent. Did you think hyper-intelligent dinosaur can't attack your home? I love it. It's fantastic. I love that. I laughed my ass off at that one. It was so good. Ah, yes. There you go. Amazing. Utterly freaking amazing poster. Okay, folks. That was the Cynicalbrit poster contest. Those of you who are too dumb to listen and think this is the beta key contest, learn to read and listen. Oh, God. I tell you, contests are a freaking headache. So, I say, on the beta key contest, right, which is obviously ending on Thursday, which I said very clearly in the video, in big bloody orange text of God. That's my angry Murloc sound. God, stupid people. I said, email in to the Murloc at Cynicalbrit.com. So what do people do? Well, let's see. They post their answers on my channel page. They send me YouTube PMs. They send it to the Murloc at gmail.com. They send it to TotalBiscuit at gmail.com. They send it to everything other than the right bloody address. Oh, and let's not, of course, start with the people that said, I'm colorblind. Are you also terminally stupid? If I was colorblind and I was trying to enter a contest that required it to identify a color, I would ask somebody who's not colorblind. But then again, that's because I have common sense and don't need everything spelled out for me. As I would hope that the majority of you guys do as well. Oh my god. See, the worst thing is, that comment actually got, voted up. It's got 100 votes up. I'm colorblind, what do I do? Oh, well, I don't know. Friends, family member, your dog, anybody. Just ask somebody. How hard is that? Of course, ignore the fact that there is no kind of colour blindness that actually stops you from seeing that colour. And yes, that is a little bit of a clue for you. And let's not even get started with the people that don't understand what trim around the outside, the outermost bit of the hat means. Oh, wow. I thought I'd come up with a really easy contest, but no. Apparently, it doesn't matter what you do, because people are stupid. Let's not forget the guys, by the way, that said, I'm going to hack their accounts. With what? Their email address? That's fairly impressive. That's very flattering. Really. You know, so I'm going to send a rabbit into the system, and then, of course, you will send a flu shot. And after that, I'm going to hack your Gibson. Is that exactly what's going to happen here? Is this what you believe I can do, based on having only your email address? Because that's goddamn impressive. I missed my calling. I should have been some kind of amazing super hacker. Oh, Jesus. It's a shame you didn't read the big red book that doesn't fit on the shelf. I think, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for this.
Mailtime! That sounds like it's mailtime. Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes,
I want to wail.
Yes, indeed, folks, it is mail time. That would be, as you might imagine, the time where you read the mail. But it's not, because you don't get to read the mail. I read the mail. I'm selfish. You can't have the mail. Okay, quite a bit of mail to go through, so let's go and have a look and see what's going on with this. It's difficult to find actual mail in amongst the spam. But do you want to know? Oh, God. My Murloc at Cynicalbrit.com account. Let's see. Oh, Jesus. Current entries, 8,560. This is why I don't read that account anymore. Needless to say, it is filtered so that I don't have to have it spam my inbox. God damn. Okay. Apparently people really want beta keys. Again, thanks to Blizzard, by the way, for providing them, because as far as I'm aware, they haven't actually given beta keys to anybody else yet. So it's pretty awesome. And they obviously don't hate me. Either that or they hate me, but they really like you. So they want you to have beta keys. There you go. Okay, star, 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 where are the stars? Where are the stars in my mail? Ah, there we go. Here we go. Hello there, good sir. I am very pleased to hear of Cataclysm, and it having challenging content. So pleased that it has convinced me to pre-order the game, when before I wouldn't have even bothered resubbing. But my happiness ends there and the worries begin. With Blizzard now being very money-hungry, and the current WoW fanbase being completely effing retarded, they are undoubtedly going to whine about the steep increase in difficulty, and people are going to cry and most likely threaten to cancel their subs. Now, we've seen Blizzard cave to such things before, cough real ID. Are you really worried that they will cave once again and nerf the content to the brain-dead retards that face roll and gain epics much like they can? Sincerely, a very concerned gnome, Toshley. Interesting. Okay, first things first. I don't think they did cave to QQ on Real ID. I think that Real ID, as much as I would have liked to put it in, I can also see the massive problems with it. Bear in mind, I have a really weird perspective on this, because my real name has been known for like the last 6 years. My real name is on the top of my YouTube channel, in the little info box thing. It's really not hard to find out who I actually am. But some people are really, really paranoid about that. As we saw, people paranoid about giving their email address, because I'll hacksaw their accounters. I'll steal all their beaters. Oh, Lord. Anyway. I don't think they caved on the Real ID thing. I think it was never going to happen to begin with. Honestly. I think it was just a test to see how people would react, see how far they could push the boundaries. Admittedly, I don't think they really wanted, Bashiok to get spammed with black faxes and infinite pizza. Although I'm sure Bashiok was very happy to receive the infinite pizza. Not so happy to receive the bill. But I don't think they caved on that. I think they have altered things, however, based on the current opinion, and the Wrath opinion has been pretty bad. But bear in mind, this is Blizzard's fault to begin with. They set up an expansion whereby everything was too easy. And then they were surprised when people started acting the way that they socially engineered them to be. If you provide nothing but easy content, you hand them epics on a silver platter, then they become expectant of that. They become entitled. So it does seem to me that they didn't quite think that one through. Or maybe they did. Maybe that is what they wanted. And I think, honestly, because they've actually seen such slow growth over the course of Wrath, that's probably why they're going back to it. Bear in mind, there was only a very recent announcement about 12 million players. When did the announcement for 11.5 million players come out? Let's find out, shall we? Here we go. No. Right. Aha! The 24th of December, 2008 was when they hit 11.5. And they just hit 12. Think about that. It's taken them, over the course of Wrath of the Lich King, it's taken them over a year and a half to get an extra 500,000 subs. So, bear this in mind. These are only active subscribers, and they very clearly indicated this. So, they have lost, by the looks of it, either it's slowed down to recall because the market has reached saturation point, which I do not believe, or they've lost so many subscribers during Wrath that it's taken them a year and a half to gain 500,000. Obviously, that's still a great achievement, but think about it. 24th of December, 2008. Actually, it's 23rd of December, 2008 is when they hit that. And the 7th of October, 2010 is when they hit 12. So that is huge, because over the course of TBC, they had way more. Absolutely way more than that. I think they're going to see those numbers, and obviously they have access to the number of unsubscribers. They also know why people unsubbed, because hopefully people give a reason. Honestly, that's pretty bloody bad, and they can evidently see that that is the case. Which means that they're going to make a decision based on the fact that people unsubbed during Wrath. Why did they unsub? Well, I imagine a lot of them unsubbed because the content was boring. I'll talk about why I quit a little bit later on April the 19th is when I stopped playing WoW on the live servers. So, I don't think they will cave necessarily. I think they're seeing a swing in the other direction now. There's going to be QQ, there's going to be crying, no doubt about that. But here's the thing. They have stated uncategorically that the optimum way to group now is in a guild. You must play in a guild to be playing optimally. That was technically the way before, but now it clearly is the way. Absolutely 110%. It is the way to play. They want you in a guild, which means they want you organized, which means they want you to have some standards, because guilds have standards. And if they don't have any standards, they suck. It's as simple as that. That's what they want. There's no question about that. They don't want you pugging. They absolutely do not want you pugging anymore. That is blindingly obvious. They would not give all these massive, great benefits to being in a guild if they actually wanted you to pug. They just wouldn't do it. I mean, hell, we can also look at the item level restriction, which is now actually quite high. They don't want you pugging in bad gear. They want you in a guild group. And if you're in a guild group, you can go in there. Just without even worrying about it. You don't have to worry about your item level. Guild groups can go in and do whatever they want. If you're in a pug, then you've got all these restrictions and hoops to jump through, and the fact that people might suck and you don't get the benefits from being... I tell you what the best benefit for this is. You're going to see a bit of this in my halls of... What is it? No, the Halls of the Tolvir. That's not even a bloody instance. The Lost City of the Tolvir. In that, I use the spell Mass Resurrection that my guild has, because my guild is level 25 in the beta. So, I use that spell, and you will see just how convenient it is. And the running speed is awesome! You can run so fast from a corpse run. Even if you're a lower level guild, you get this massive boost. I was legging it across the zone, seriously. I was running faster than I would be on a bloody mount. It was awesome. So, yeah, you gotta be in a guild. There's so many benefits to being in one. And I think that the guild play is going to resolve part of this point. It's yet another piece of social engineering. But this time, it's good social engineering. It's not bad social engineering. They're not engineering people to believe that bad content is the way that it should be, and that free epics are the way that it should be. They're engineering people to actually go and be part of a guild and be part of the social experience of a guild and the organized, regimented raiding environment of a guild. That's what's happening. There's no question about that. And that in itself is going to fix a lot of the problems. That and, of course, the heroic modes available from launch, the multi-dungeon per tier setup, so we're not just having one dungeon per tier, we're not having Ice Crown for a bloody year. You know, that's not going to happen. So no, I don't think they'll cave. I think that I notice a swing in the direction of sensible design philosophy and sensible behavior in terms of how to deal with your customer base. That's what I see in the beta. That's what I see from all of these new features. And as a direct result of that, I have a lot of hope for Cataclysm. Maybe it might be dashed. So far, what I've seen in the beta is mostly good, with some exceptions. It might end up being terrible. I just don't think it is. I think this is the Renaissance after the Dark Ages. Unquestionably. This is the way that it should be. So I'm hoping that it manages to stay in that really, really good area that we're currently in, and that they don't decide to nerf everything into the floor simply due to the crybaby, the horrible crybaby tiny vocal minority. And they really are the vocal minority, folks. Don't mistake it. They are, without question, the vocal minority. And they should be stamped into the floor. Indeed, as Ghostcrawler said, and now I can quote Ghostcrawler right here, if I can find the bloody quote. Aha, there we go. Let's see. This was said by Ghostcrawler today. I quote, this is regarding CC. In this case, you might be CCing one or two, tanking a few others, but burning down the targets one at a time. If the DPS are on the right target and pulling off a view, then we're back to situation 1. If they are on the wrong target, then they are playing badly and should be corrected and or mocked, depending on how you roll. There you go, folks. Ghostcrawler just said it's okay to mock bads. That's probably the best thing he's ever said all year. My name is TotalBiscuit. You are listening to Blue Plz here on Cynicalbrit.com. Rescheduled from Friday. What can I play? So many things I could potentially play. I'll play some Camelot. This goes by the name of Moonlight. I'll be right back after this to talk to you about quitting the game. What causes it? Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on Cynicalbrit.com.
Friend, I've got what you need. A premium quality Ventrilo server from UGTservers.com. It's goblin engineering, you see. Not like those inferior gnome products, always backfiring. If you're short on cash, you can even share the cost of the server with Guild Deposit. Have those lazy guildies of yours pay their dues. You know, I could offer you this amazing electric cattle prod that'll really get them moving.
UGTservers.com. Voice communication for your guild. Get yours today. You are listening to Blue Plz here on Cynicalbrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Okay, so, what are we talking about? I shall tell you what we're talking about. Some people ask why I don't speak in my native Geordie accent. I sort of alternate, really, between Geordie-ish and Scottish. And say, what are you talking about, you bloody... It just doesn't work. Not in a broadcast environment. In a broadcast environment, like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Yeah, we can quit that. Thank you. Stop it. Funnily enough, I went into Newcastle a few days ago now. Because I wanted to go spend some money. So I went and I said, I'm going to go get my PlayStation Move. Go give it a try. So I went into Game Station, wandered around a bit, went to the counter, and they were just talking away, and there was a customer and the manager and one of the sales reps. And they were chatting away, and I heard the words 23 gold mentioned. So I'm like, okay. So I ask, well, how much is this? How much is this? And they're just doing some price checks for me on the stuff that I want. And I turned to the guy at the counter and said, oh, so it sounds like you play WoW there. I heard you talking about gold. Like, yeah, play WoW. And the manager is like, oh, yeah, play WoW all the time. I'm like, oh, so you've heard about Cataclysm then? Like, oh, yeah. I know everything about Cataclysm. Like, oh, so you watch videos? Like, yeah, absolutely. I watch all the videos. I don't, there's nothing that I don't know about Cataclysm. And he then turns around and asks me, so, do you watch WoW videos as well? I was like, well, I watch WoW videos from time to time, yeah. I said, oh, do you watch TotalBiscuit's videos? And at that point, there's just this evil, horrendous grin spreading across my face, and he's staring at me sort of sideways, looking a little bit quizzical. And then I burst out into fits of laughter, and I almost fall over. I was sort of resting my arm on the counter to make sure that I don't collapse in fits of laughter all over the floor. And I was like, what? What are you doing? And I just pull a business card out and hand this thing to him. He's looking at it for about 5 seconds, looks back at me, looks at it again, and he's like, you're TotalBiscuit? Like, yeah, like, you don't sound like TotalBiscuit. I was like, you really think I talk like that in real life? You think I could talk like that in Newcastle? I get bottled! You can't be serious! Oh, dear. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. So, big shout out to the guy at Game Station who then gave me a 30% discount on everything. That was pretty pro. I was a big fan of that. Oh, anyway. Let's continue, shall we? I don't even know what I was actually saying there. What was my point? Did I have a point? No. Oh, yes, I was talking about accent. Okay. Right, let's get back on topic, shall we? Topic. Okay. We're going to be talking about quitting. I can quit anytime I want. I just don't want to. Well, I quit all the time. All the freaking time. Why do I quit all the time, you might ask? Well, it's mostly because I don't like wasting time on things that are not fun. That's a revelation, I know. Just savor that for a second. It's a brand new philosophy that none of you will have ever come across before. I don't play things that I don't enjoy. Unless I'm reviewing them. Like, say, Axel and Pixel. But usually, I will not post things that and indeed play things that I don't enjoy. So, I quit. Every time I run into a situation where I'm not regularly enjoying the game and I don't think I'm getting my money's worth, I just quit. I unsub. And then when something happens that makes me want to come back again, like, say, new raid content, or a change of something that really annoyed me or whatever, I'll come back. And I'll resub. And then I unsub and I resub, and I'm only subbed, generally, with the exception of the past year where I've been on a year's sub, which was an incredibly stupid thing to do, I might add. That said, I got it, from Blizzard. So, whatever the case, I am not subbed otherwise. I'm just on a month-to-month sub, and I will just cancel it if I'm sick of it. So, why do I do that? I know of people that don't do that and will actually soldier through this stuff, even though they hate it, because they want to get their money's worth. And a lot of those people, I don't think, really understand the concept of being a gamer. And to me, being a gamer is appreciating an large selection of different games. I mean, what have I played today? So, in between doing some video editing, I played a little bit of the beta, obviously. I played some Dead Rising 2. I played some Ruse. I did about half an hour Civ 5. I played a lot of League of Legends. Got about 5 or 6 games of that in. So, yeah, it's been a fairly productive Sunday in terms of gaming. And later on, I'm going to play some Battle Realms for a video. And in between all of that, why would I play WoW if I wasn't enjoying it? Maybe it's just people that only have WoW and they don't have any other games. And maybe they can't afford it, which is cool. You know, I'm not going to judge. If you don't have a lot of money, then WoW is actually a very effective way of spending your time, in terms of your spare time at any rate. Because there's a lot of other way more expensive hobbies. And even if you bought the cheapest possible DVDs, think about it. You know, if I went to Asda and spent, say, £3 on... what have I got? Something down here. Had it anyway. Whatever. Yeah, I've got a copy of Body of Lies that I bought for £3, and I intend to watch that. And I think, okay, so how much value am I getting out of Body of Lies? Because Body of Lies is a 2-hour movie, so I'm getting £1.50 per hour. It's not bad in comparison to, say, if I were to go to the cinema and didn't have my crazy ass unlimited card, I would be paying, what, £3 to £4 an hour, most likely, for most movies. So, yeah, actually, WoW is incredibly cheap. You're paying $8.99 a month. Pounds, yeah? So that's the cost of 3 cheapo DVDs, which will get you about 6 hours worth of enjoyment. So if you're getting more than that, then you're getting better value than you would be out of cheapo DVDs. Assuming you're enjoying yourself. So, yeah, as I say, WoW is great for spending your free time in. Really, really good. However, if I don't enjoy the time I spend in a game, I stop playing the game and go and play a different game. It's as simple as that. Would I prefer to do daily questing in WoW, or would I prefer to play a proper RPG? Answer, I would play a proper RPG. To me, stuff like daily quests in WoW turns WoW into a chore rather than an actual game, and there's a reason I only log in for raids. Because raiding is what I want to do, and that's where I get the enjoyment out of the game, and everything else is boring to me, so I don't bother with it. Occasionally, you will get me to do a heroic, but generally speaking, it will be with a fixed group that I already know, and we'll just be, we'll be just talking on Vent while we do it, and we'll just be mucking about. Even then, though, what you'll generally find is that I would still rather be doing something else. I would honestly rather be doing something else. So, quitting. Why did I quit on April the 19th? Let's have a look at my armory, shall we? There are a few reasons behind this. Armory.com. We look for TotalBiscuit. We look at the number of people that are now imitating TotalBiscuit. The real TotalBiscuit is oddly enough not even at the top of the list, which is ridiculous. Apparently some level 80 shaman, Draenei, in the guild Sinister on the realm Aeonar. He's a faker. So yes, if you see a Draenei shaman on Aeonar from the guild Sinister running around with my name, it is not me. It is some kind of evil, horrendous fake. There is also a Blood Elf mage, like I would ever play a Blood Elf, guildless I might add, on Lightning's Blade with my name. How many level 80s are there with my name? There's only 3, so that's fairly good. And then there's 25 others that aren't level 80. Now, the one that is me, of course, is on Anchorage in the trollface.jpg guild. Troll mage. Horde side, needless to say. Let's have a look at me, shall we? Let's go and have a look at some achievements. You'll see recent activity. Recent activity is what you need to be looking at. That's the important thing. The 19th of April is the last time that I raided on live. We killed Valithria Dreamwalker. We killed Putricide that day. We killed a whole bunch of stuff, didn't we? Why the hell did we run... Why did we go there? We must have been gearing someone up or just getting badges or something, because for some reason I was in TOC 10, and I don't know why I would be in TOC 10. Horrible instance that it is. So you see the kills there, Festagut, Rotface, Valithria, yeah, Blood Queen, blah blah blah. And you don't see a Syndragoza. And there's a reason why you don't see a Syndragoza, because we had 2 members of our raid that constantly lagged at Syndragoza, which made actually doing it impossible. Yeah, it was very annoying. You know, when you lose 2 of you guys to, say, a Frost Orb, because your entire group is lagging and they're on like 2 FPS, because of whatever spell effects were in there caused massive FPS problems, then, yeah, that's a bit of a problem, isn't it? And we just stopped. But the thing is, by that point, we were very, very bored anyway. This is what comes of raid burnout. Now, 19th of April was when I last raided. When exactly did ICC come out? Icecrown Citadel, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go find out, shall we? Let's take a little bit of a field trip over to WoW Wiki. Icecrown Citadel came out in December 8th, 2009. So I quit over 5 months after that instance had been released. And I started raiding it on the day that it came out. Okay. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? So... I was stuck in the same instance for 5 months. Right. Because there was nothing else to do. I mean, by that point, we all had our tier 9 anyway. So the only thing to do was to go to Icecrown Citadel. So we hit up Icecrown Citadel, and we said, hey, this is cool, this is cool. And for the first month and a bit, it kind of was. Well, some fairly entertaining bosses before they nerfed the crap out of all of them. It was pretty good. So we went in there, and then after 5 months of it, how do you think we felt? How did you feel? Let me ask you that. How do you feel after 5 months of Icecrown? Now consider that that was 6 months ago. Indeed. 11 months. Unbelievable. So, did you feel burned out? Because I know I did. There's always got to be a choice and an alternative, in my opinion. Because if there isn't, then you get burned out and seeing the same content week in, week out. Which is why, I might add, the entire idea of a single dungeon per tier is a absolute disaster. It's a complete and utter failure in every way that I can possibly think of. It is a total mess. Nobody wants to do the same dungeon for 5 months, let alone 10. You cannot be serious. Nobody wants to do that. It's absurd. It's the same bosses, the same bloody sounds, the same trash, the same scenery for 10 months. That's... no. Nobody plays a game and sees the same thing week in, week out for that long. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen. I can't think of a game that I would willingly play like that. Because at least in, say, a single-player RPG, you could go somewhere else. And you probably wouldn't be spending 10 months on a single-player RPG anyway. Just pure multiplayer games like, say, Dota or Horn or League of Legends or Team Fortress 2 and stuff like that. Well, that's different because it's a player versus player environment. And there's always new maps and stuff coming out for them anyway. There's always new content of some description. Why is it that we had to wait so bloody long? We got Halion, which was a one-boss dungeon. Massive care about Halion. That was it. After however many months. When the hell did Halion come out? Someone could tell me, no doubt. Although, they probably can't tell me before I can find it on WoW Wiki. At least I would if WoW Wiki wasn't lagging. I probably shouldn't have said go for a field trip to WoW Wiki, because I think I broke it. Oh dear. Let's try Google. Halion. There we go. Aha! Implemented in patch 3.3.5. When did that come out? 22nd of June, 2010. So, it still took them, let's see, what? So it was 5 months when I quit in April. Yeah. So you're looking at about 6 to 7 months is how long it took them to release a one-boss dungeon. And that is still there and there's been nothing else in terms of raid content. Are you telling me that it's not right to want to quit at that point? Hell, I'm surprised they didn't quit sooner. And even if, let's just assume that my guild actually didn't have those 2 people that were lagging and causing us to wipe on Sindragoza. Let's assume that for a second. Would I still be in ICC today? Because I'm thinking no. I'm thinking we'd have killed Lich King, would have gone on, done some hard modes, and then we'd have got bored. Why? Because you get the same gear, it's the same bosses with a few bells and whistles attached to them, and I'm not saying they're not challenging, because they are, at least until they brought out that ridiculous buff. But we wouldn't have been in there after that much time. God, think of the possibility of this. Think about if you were stuck in Molten Core for 11 months. Think about the horror of that. Now applied to ICC. Oh, Lord. You would not want to do that. You know you wouldn't want to do that. You didn't do it at the start in Tier 7. For God's sake, when did Ulduar come out, ladies and gentlemen? Let's compare that to the Wrath release date, which was in November. I've lagged it again, haven't I? Oh, God. Ulduar, folks. When did Ulduar come out? 3.1, which was in April of 14, 2009, which was 6 months after the release of Wrath. And you were sick of that as well. I quit about 2 months after the launch of Wrath, and I'm surprised I even got along that far, probably because I was really, really slow with leveling. 6 months of Naxxramas, over 6 months of ICC. That's why you quit. And you know what? It's Blizzard's damn responsibility. It's not your fault that you get bored and want to quit the game. If I am being provided a service and I am not entertained, then yeah, I should go look for another service. I don't know what Blizzard were thinking. I don't know what was going on at Blizzard's end to have those two massive, great, stonking delays, huge delays between pieces of major content, forcing people into dungeons they did not want to be in just to find some degree of meaning and entertainment and worth in their goddamn subscription fee. And, you know, it's actually really insidious as well, because you don't want to quit if you're in a guild. Why? Because it lets the rest of the guild down. So you actually kept playing the game by guild. Hell, it's probably one of the reasons that Blizzard wants to encourage guild play again. I don't blame them. It's fine to encourage guild play. But I'm just saying that you stick around in the game because your friends are there and because your guild is there and they need you. They rely on you because some people do still want to do the content. And you feel bad because it then feels like a responsibility, like an albatross around your neck. And that's horrible. You never want to feel that way when you're playing a game. My name is TotalBiscuit. You are listening to Blue Plz here on Cynicalbrit.com. We're back after the break to talk about what being a good player is. Assuming we know. Do we? Well, we shall find out, no doubt. In the meantime, I would like to know what being a good slayer is. I wonder who can tell me that. I can certainly think of somebody. Yes, indeed. Enjoy some war ensemble. Enjoy. So good I said it twice. You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on Cynicalbrit.com. You are listening to Blue Plz right here on Cynicalbrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. This is the reschedule. We've done pretty well. We've still got like 1,600 listeners on a rescheduled show. Bearing in mind we turned off the front page player, which means that people actually had to do some work in order to listen. That's fairly impressive for a live show. It's actually almost the live show, just normal, everyday Blue Plz listener record. So, yeah. Not too bad at all. Okay. So what else am I going to talk about? I have a few things that I do need to discuss. The concept of being a good player, folks. Interesting. It is an interesting concept, isn't it? Something that a lot of people don't really seem to understand and have some very odd ideas about. Anyway. There's this one nice little phrase of the absurd amount of things that I've said over the past few months that has stuck out as actually being reasonable, as opposed to the rest of it, which is just mostly bollocks. And the question is, and the statement is quite simply, I don't want the game nerfed down to my level. I want to raise my level to that of the game. And I keep misquoting myself, incidentally, but it kind of rings true. That's the essence of a good player right there, but there's a lot more to it than that. So let's talk about it. But before we do that, let's talk about what the internet believes is a good player. So, as I've noticed on YouTube, there is, according to the internet, absolutely no middle ground between the most amazing player ever and terrible. There is no middle ground. There are only two types of player. We're talking about the hardest of the hardcore, the elite of the elite, the person that never makes any mistakes ever, and terrible. Interesting, isn't it? Apparently that is the way that it is, according to certain people on YouTube. Like, for instance, I saw my mage guys. There have been some absolutely hilarious things. There was a thread on a certain forum about this that I laughed my arse off at, and a wide variety of different things were said, including a guy who claimed to be a self-confessed expert, had 3,500 posts, was well-respected, and then ended up saying that I was a bad player because, and then stated a fact that was absolutely wrong. So, hey, there you go. Apparently people are real smart, or smirt, as they would probably spell it. Yeah, I like those threads, because generally speaking, they'll say I'm a terrible player. So, like I said, there's no difference between the most amazing player ever and a terrible player. If you've ever been in a pug, and then you look at how I play, you can blatantly see that I am not as bad as them. But since there are only two kinds of player, and I'm not the perfect player, I therefore must be a terrible player. In internet logic. If you can even call it that. If you were interested in what the fact was that he got wrong, by the way, and this was the one thing that he called me out on and ended up being laughed at as a direct result of that, is that he claimed that Improved Flame Strike was a terrible talent and nobody should take it, and you're an idiot if you take it because of the cost of it. And, of course, he ignored the fact that Blast Wave, he actually went on to say that Blast Wave, when you cast Blast Wave, wasted a ton of mana. Whereas, actually, in fact, when you cast Blast Wave, you get a free Flame Strike out of it, and it's only about 1,500 mana, which makes it the most mana-efficient AoE in the entire game. So, yeah, real mage expert there. Real mage expert. And the rest of them, when asked to actually point out what I said wrong, couldn't. It was, oh, he's terrible. I saw him backpedaling once. He's the worst player ever. Tell me you've never backpedaled. Everybody backpedals every now and again. And you know what? It doesn't matter, because unless the backpedaling gets you killed, it's irrelevant. It's not the best habit to be in, but then again, it's also not the worst either. Pretty crazy when you think about it. Yeah, that thread and certain posts on the YouTube pages indicated that, oh god, these mage guides are terrible. And the funny thing is, they can never identify why. So either I'm a master of deception, or I somehow managed to come up with these guides which are actually right, just you're going to claim that they're wrong. Okay. Huh. There's a lot of people that don't understand the meaning of the word guide, or testing, for instance. Like, I've actually got someone in the IRC channel who's spurging out right now about the fact that early frost is bad. Well, not really, because like I explained before, what else are you going to put it in? For an optimal single-target DPS, you would be taking early frost, because there is no other way to get down to 31 points. But of course, people don't care, do they? That's not how people think, if they think at all. They want an excuse to spurge out over nothing. I think the concept of the good player, now in the era of having the internet and having everybody involved with the internet, playing multiplayer games and things like that, they all feel like they've got to be the very best. And oddly enough, they generally aren't. But some people fixate on one particular game because they have these delusions of grandeur that they're going to be absolutely unfricking believable in every possible respect. They're going to be a pro gamer. Mom, I don't want to go to college. I want to play Halo. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. And those of us that play a lot of games, for instance, are generally not amazing at all of them, because, generally speaking, practice makes perfect. If you spend 8 hours a day playing one game, the chances are you're probably going to be better at that game than someone that plays 8 games for 1 hour per day. That said, I'm fairly sure that the person that plays 8 games for 1 hour per day is probably better than you at the games that you do not play. As simple as that. But the internet has these unreasonable demands. I've seen this in StarCraft videos. I've seen this in... Actually, come to think of it, yeah, any gameplay video ever. By anybody. Even people... You know the best thing? You've got this kind of policy in Axel and Pixel. You suck at point and clicks. And it's not even ironic or anything. It's actually serious. Oh my god, how could you not know this? Oh, like, Jesus. Wow. People, calm the hell down. Chill out on a frickin' beanbag. And you know what? They don't. Because they have this view that everyone should play every game absolutely perfectly, and if they don't, then they're terrible. No, that's not what being a good player is. What being a good player is learning from your mistakes and not repeating them. It means getting progressively better over the course of time. It means learning a fight, for instance, and getting better until you beat it. Here's the thing, Lloyd. There are 3 types of player who are playing Demon Souls right now. One of these players has beaten the first boss, and beat the first boss on his first attempt. Now, of course, the first boss isn't that hard per se, but hey, a little bit tricky. The second player wipes on the first boss 10 times and then beats the first boss. And the third player doesn't beat him at all. Which of those players is terrible? The answer is none of them. Why? because that is not a good indicator of whether or not you are a terrible player. If you are a terrible player, the fourth type would be the terrible player. The terrible player is the guy that goes to the first boss and dies the same way 30 times, and then goes onto the internet to complain about the game being terrible. Goes out of his way, in fact, to say to various people, don't get this game is terrible. That's a terrible player. The kind of person that complains and blames the game for their own failings. Now, sometimes there are entirely legitimate circumstances for this. Like, we're talking about random number generator fights that have bugs, fights that are... a prime example, actually, which I will show you in the heroic Lost City of Tolvir bit, is the fact that the final boss has these pillars, which are about 3 inches high, and yet entirely block line of sight. Which is a nightmare. Absolute nightmare, because you don't see them, and you don't realise you're getting LOS'd until you're actually there. Suddenly the healer gets LOS'd, and your tank dies, and everything's going to hell, and you think, oh god, this is horrendous. That doesn't make you a terrible player, that makes the fight terrible. But most of the time, when you're dealing with fights that other people are entirely capable of doing, then you have to consider what exactly they're doing right that you're doing wrong. Because I'm thinking you're doing a lot of things wrong, an awful lot of things wrong. A terrible player is not the person that wipes all the time, as long as he eventually learns how not to wipe, and is willing to learn that. It doesn't make him the best player, and it makes him a significantly worse player than the guy who never wipes. It makes him a worse player than the guy who only occasionally wipes. But it doesn't make him a terrible player. That's just how it is. That's the reality of the situation that's been distorted by the internet, who believes that perfection, nothing less than perfection is required, which is funny, really, because those are generally the kind of people that actually complain on the forums. I would imagine that the same kind of people that complain, oh, you're terrible, blah, 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 are the same kind of people that have complained on the forums begging for nerfs. In fact, I know they are, because I see the correlation. I see some people that post on my instance thread saying, oh, how dare you say this is going to be better, oh, this is going to be harder, I pay my subscription fee, I demand free epics, blah, blah, blah. And then you then see them complaining that I'm not absolutely perfect. Like, okay, interesting, because that seems to me that you are a terrible player, and yet you're claiming it's sort of projection, I suppose, isn't it? You're placing this label on somebody else other than yourself. Now, let's say that I had somebody in my guild, and I would like people in my guild to not suck. But, of course, my guild's going to be really large, so there are going to be people that are not that great. So, what's going to end up happening is that I would hope these players will get involved in a community where they can improve and they can get better. And you would never say that these people are terrible. Because if they're improving, then they're not terrible. Then you can't be terrible if you're improving. If you're getting better at a steady rate, if you're actually listening and learning from your mistakes, you are not, by any reasonable quantification or definition or rationale, a terrible or bad player. That's what I would like to see the WoW community do. Assuming the WoW community even existed, which it does not. So let's just replace the community with player base. I want to see the player base rise to any occasion, just some occasion, other than, say, bloody Brewfest. And you see us whining about that as well. Oh, it's too hard. Oh, for God's sake. Please. It's enough to give someone a splitting migraine. The basic fact of the matter is that games expect you to get better. And sometimes they will give you a boost. There are some games that will actually say, do you want to go on an easier difficulty? There are some games that will automatically adapt and make the game easier, which is awful, I might add, in a terrible system that should never happen. The whole point is that you play it. The more you play it, the more practice you get, the better you get. So you don't have to worry about going down an easier difficulty level. If you want to, then cool. Just don't expect the same rewards as somebody who's doing the harder difficulty level. And don't ask for the game itself to be nerfed. Oh, this game's too hard. This doesn't happen with single-player games. Hell, most of the time, it doesn't even happen with normal multiplayer games. It happens with massively multiplayer games. Why? Because people feel entitled, because they pay a monthly subscription. That's what makes them believe that they are entitled to have the game tailored exactly to their liking. Usually, exactly to their liking means make this easier so I can get shiny items. No. That is not how things are supposed to work. Ever. Are you afraid that you are a bad player? Are you afraid that you are a terrible player? Well, just analyze your behavior. Do you keep making the same error and then just excusing yourself? Now, I think that's probably one of the best indicators. Do you make excuses for your behavior? Do you constantly try and blame other people? Reminds me of a game of League of Legends I was in today, and I was in the solo ranked queue, which is an incredibly stupid thing to do, I might add. Solo ranked is horrible. But I was doing it anyway, because I just fancied a game before the show, so I jumped in there. And we absolutely ruffle-stomped the other team. It wasn't even funny. It was 30 kills to 5. We killed the Nexus on the 21st minute, I believe, so yeah, it was pretty brutal. And nothing but whining and whining and whining from a player on the other team, like crying, like, oh, this team sucks, it's a noob team. But this guy was like 0 for 7. You can't blame your team for all of your own failings. Sure, bad team is a really bad thing in a team-based game like Dota, Horn, League of Legends, WoW PvP, WoW Raiding, Bloodline Champions, Team Fortress 2, anything that's team-based. A bad team can really, really drag you down. But you've also got to take some responsibility for that bad team, because you were not the guy carrying the team. In fact, you were doing as bad, if not worse, than most of the team members. You can't then go and blame your team for all of that. The likelihood of that actually being the case is astronomical. Sure, in a game like Dota, in a game like Heroes of New Earth or League of Legends, if your team doesn't give a missed call, or if your team doesn't team fight properly, doesn't come when you ask them, etc., etc., and isn't in the right place at the right time, overextends and gets itself killed, gets greedy, does a lot of stupid stuff, builds bad items. Yeah, all of these things are things you can blame the team for, but the team also consists of you. So you can't just blame the team for everything. And I think that is what really justifies a terrible player. A terrible player is the guy that makes the same mistake over and over again and looks for any excuse, anything other than blaming himself and saying, oh, you know what? I just sucked at that. Let's fix it. Let's get better. That's the kind of person that is a terrible player. A person that is incapable of doing that. Critically analysing their own failures and using their knowledge and learning from other people and actually willing to listen to advice. And the problem is there are so many people like that. And indeed, it's one of the reasons why I think that statement from Ghostcrawler earlier, which I will link in the show notes for you, is so valid. Like saying, oh, well, you know, or mock these players if that's how you roll. Yeah, mock them, because you know what? They're not going to listen to anything else. Humiliation is often the only way to get a message into these people's skulls, because they believe that they cannot be at fault. They're absolutely flawless, perfect in every respect, and anything that goes wrong must be someone else's fault or the game's fault. Bad, isn't it? It's pretty goddamn horrendous. But sadly, it's how people are. Mock them. Seriously. Make them feel bad. Maybe it's the only way they'll listen. My name is TotalBiscuit. You're listening to Blue Plz here on Cynicalbrit.com. When I come back after the break, I will answer a brief question, because it's not really worth filling an entire segment with. And then I'll do Cataclysm Q&A. This, Devon Townsend, ladies and gentlemen. It's called Bad Devil. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on Cynicalbrit.com. Yes, indeed, folks. You're listening to Blue Plz here on Cynicalbrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Arr. So, I do have some Cataclysm Q&A, although I would like to briefly cover the topic of guild limits. So, a few days back, Blizzard announced that guild limits would be set at 600 for Cataclysm. They then changed it. Based on, I don't know, popular demand maybe? Or whatever the case. They then changed it to 1,000. Now, the justification was, well, it would make achievements pointless because you'd have too many people, it would be really easy. And it's so silly an argument, isn't it? Because they can very easily fix it. You don't know how they can fix it? Oh, well, I can think of a few things. One of which would, of course, be... yes, indeed... the old limit, you remember, where you only had the top 20 contributors in a guild, or when you had contributors to the general achievements. No, they got rid of that. We don't want that anymore. And oh look, now suddenly it's really, really easy. There's a daily cap, we're well aware of that, but as regards to stuff like the critter killing achievements and stuff like that, there's no cap to the number of people that can do them. It's just stupid. they could easily have a much larger system. And oddly enough, they were talking about, they were making some great excuses. Let me see if I can actually find the reason and rationale for this. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. Yes, yeah. 600. Ha ha ha. There we go. Okay, right. They've reevaluated that. Okay, we need a better one than that. Let's have a look at the next one. I'm just looking at MMO Champion to actually find this information because I want this quote, because I like to call BS on this quote. There we go. Guild member cap and Cataclysm. New hard cap of 600. This was the old one. Now, they will tell you why. With the advent of the new guild system, we're tracking many more things on each individual player. In order to support that, we need to limit the amount of members to a reasonable level. Okay, so we need to limit the amount of members to a reasonable level. So, suddenly, what we're going to then do after that is we are going to raise the amount of people that we can track by 400. Just out of the blue. Arbitrarily raise it to 1,000. So, your excuse was, well, there's loads of things we need to track and the systems might get overloaded. But here's an additional 400. What? Don't give me that, Blizzard. It's entirely arbitrary and you know it. Just give a proper reason. Now, I know that most guilds aren't that large, but some are. If there is a legitimate reason not to have guilds of that size, then okay. Now, then they revise their rationale for the 1,000. This is by Bashiok, and he says this new guild cap is being enforced for several reasons, but they all I love that. Several reasons. They all factor into the need to control guild size in light of new guild systems, including guild leveling and achievements. Okay, well, you already do it with guild leveling, because you have a daily cap, as I recall. And achievements, well, I'm sorry, 1,000 is still a huge number when it comes to dealing with achievements. Come on! Really? While approximately 500 members were visible in the UI, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, guild leveling Cataclysm features unified progression powered by a series of complex systems to track the contributions of all guild members. Oh, continue performance. He makes the excuse again. You can't say that! Seriously. I'm sure there is an impact on performance, but if there was such an impact on performance, why would you start with 600, then suddenly say, oh, 1,000? Yeah, because, well, my mental arithmetic is absolutely abysmal, sadly, as much as I would like to believe otherwise. But let's see. You know, how many percent are we looking at right there? I'm going to have to get a calculator out. This is so embarrassing. I was never any good at maths. I was absolutely terrible at it. But yeah, 16. Let's divide 400 by 60. Yeah, a lot. You can figure it out for yourself. A little bit of a test for you. Whatever the case, 400. That is almost 50% larger, which is crazy, isn't it? In fact, it's way more than 50%. I'm terrible at percentages. Oh, God, my face. You know what I mean. It's a huge amount of extra people. And the problem with the huge amount of extra people is that there's more load on the systems, right? But it just seems to me that 600 must have been uber conservative then. Either that or they've redesigned their system in the course of a day and a bit. Which doesn't seem all that likely, does it? I don't really know why they would do that. Whatever the case, I'm in support of large guilds. I'm going to be in one. Of course I'm in support of large guilds. Make a guild however large or small you so desire. I don't see the problem with it. I know one of the only large guilds of that size is probably Goon Squad on Malgarnus US, I believe. They're pretty large. They're over 1,000 and out for a fact. Well, whatever the case. That's your limit, folks, and that's what we're going to be looking at. And Trollface, we'll start off with 1,000. If we get more than that, we'll make a second guild. We'll spread things out. We'll do a head count, of course, before the expansion to see how many we get. Then we'll cut out maybe 20% of those because they probably won't come over anyway. And they were just making things up. Right. Let's go and have a look at some Q&A, shall we, folks? Okay. What will happen to our current emblems? Do they get turned into justice points? Yes. Do I know what the conversion rate is? No. Actually, I believe they get turned to gold. Hang on, let's go find out, shall we? Google is amazing. This is one of the things that isn't actually in the beta yet, as far as I can tell, so I couldn't tell you from experience. Convert to justice points. Google's amazing. It makes me look really, really smart. Currency conversion, justice point update. Here we go. But yes, you can convert Emblems of Triumph and Frost, by the way. Version math update. There is a cap as well, by the way. Here we go. Okay, so here's what you're getting. Right, that's converting into gold. Aha. No. That doesn't make any sense. No, yeah, there we go. Your Justice points total will be equal to Emblems of Triumph plus Emblems of Frost times by 11.58. And the soft cap for both Honor and Justice conversions is 4,000 points. So, yeah, you can actually get Justice points. And the thing is, it's not going to get you very much, really. 4,000 Justice points. Because if I recall correctly, you get about 75 for a normal 5-man heroic boss kill. So, it's not a huge number. It's not bad, certainly. It's a nice little boost to kick you off, but if you think about it, 4,000 over 75. 53 bosses killed. It's not all that many. Think about it when you actually get to level 85, just how many dungeons you're going to be running. Now, you could earn that in a day, I think. Are there enough bosses? Probably not. Maybe almost in a day. Yeah, and Justice points get you blues, by the way. So yeah, there you go. You should be saving your Triumph and your Frost, if you so desire. I personally do not really desire. I think I might already have the right number for it. And how many can you save total? Well, 4,000 divided by 11.58. You can save a total of 345 badges. That's your cap, so that's what you want to be shooting for right there. And I think I'll probably do that, honestly. We'll go and just face roll some heroics just so I can earn some stuff before the start of it, and we've got a nice little boost there. But yeah, hang on to them, certainly, on the basis of that. Okay, what else do we have? Q&A. Mage player. Do you think that all 3 specs will be viable for Radiant Cataclysm? Yeah. Arguably. Why? Well, I mean, the thing is, you're going to want Frost anyway if you don't have any kind of other mana regeneration, because that's quite handy. Fire is good for the 5% crit, but of course, bear in mind, all this is homogenized, and there's a 3% overall raid damage, which I think you can get from Paladin or something as well. But yeah, I think they are all viable from what I can tell anyway, and there is some nice synergy between the Fire and the Frost trees. Isn't so much for Arcane, but it's still competitive. What do you think the most important skill for someone that started in Wrath will have to learn in order to succeed in Cataclysm? Well, not falling asleep in a dungeon is probably a reasonable idea. Learn from your mistakes. That's all there is to it. There's nothing specific, because, I mean, there's stuff like CC, stuff like kiting skills that you might not have used in Wrath, but just focus. And don't fall asleep in the dungeon. Don't face roll. That's a skill, right? In your opinion, which class do you think has had the most changes, and do you think they are good changes or bad? And what about class at the opposite end of the spectrum? God knows. I've heard that Warlocks have changed drastically, and obviously they have with the new Soul Shard system, so that's probably part of it. Paladins have changed quite a bit as well. I heard some Paladin healers have really been complaining about a lot of things, mana drain in particular, so that might have changed for the worse at the moment, but they are working on it. But yeah, otherwise, definitely, in my opinion, the Cataclysm Warlocks are significantly changed. Okay. Right, this is interesting, because I never actually said this, but okay. In all your shows and videos, you say that Frost mages suck, but in a recent mage video, you say that Frost has passed Arcane in a way. Why is this? Well, one, I didn't say it has passed Arcane in a way at all. This is the problem, that people who make up things and hear what isn't there. Frost is a viable raiding spec in Cataclysm, which, as of Wrath, it wasn't. So it's as simple as that. What else do we have? Archaeology. Will the new profession Archaeology be available to players who have not yet bought Cataclysm? I'm thinking no. Very unlikely. The only things they're making available for people that don't buy Cataclysm are the new zones. And by new, I mean the revamps of the old ones. They're going to be there. You're not going to see anything else like that. Will Azure Mist Isle be changed? As far as I'm aware, no. It will not. Yes, I know, it is 6.66. Repeating, of course. That was the answer to it. Okay, what else do I have? Do you think Blizz should update the WoW holidays? I think they should stop wasting time with the WoW holidays in general. I think they're an absolutely pointless waste of time. They really are. Stupid festivals, I don't even bother with them. What's the point? There's no challenge to be had. It's running around doing errands. I don't like doing errands. I like playing games. Why do you like trolls? Why don't I like trolls? Because it's a 3-paragraph freaking question about why I like trolls. Please. Personal preferences apparently require detailed explanation. Okay, what else do we have? Have you noticed any noticeable difference in engineering so far? Perhaps a new use for that gunship jetpack? No, I haven't. A lot of the professions haven't been properly updated yet. It's worth having a look at MMO Champion, honestly. And since I'm not an engineer, I tend not to notice these things. Any news about Silvermoon, Isle of Quel'Danas? Will it be advanced? Not that I've seen so far, but I think that it might. I would hope that it will be. Because even though it's technically a TBC zone, it's still in Azeroth, so it doesn't make any sense for it not to be affected by the Cataclysm. We shall see. I imagine it's quite low priority. Okay. I'll do one more, shall I? Now, I'm aware. Is Arcane viable in raiding? I've already explained that it is. Let's look through them, see what else I can find. Now, I can't answer that. That's about Death Knights. I don't know anything about Death Knights. Zul'Farrak. Huh. That's odd. Because apparently, if you fly over Zul'Farrak now, there are dancing trolls there. There weren't the last time I flew over it, which is about a month ago. So, okay. It's not a question, but it's an interesting fact nonetheless. I'm going to have to go and have a look at that. Last but not least, any plans to go to DreamHack? Yes. The DreamHack at the end of the year I plan to be at. I believe that's at the end of November. If I can get there, then I will be at DreamHack. And obviously, anyone that wants to meet up is by all means welcome. We're pretty much done, folks. We'll do some shout-outs to end off the show in the last few minutes. Send them over IRC, Twitter, or, indeed, over the email, themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. Send them on over, if you so desire. That will be the way to do things, I think. We'll do a few shout-outs and we'll end the show. Anyway, thanks a lot for listening to the show today, guys. Very much appreciated. I know that it's been rescheduled. It's a bit of a pain in the ass to deal with. But hey, hopefully we are stable. It looks like we are, so I think that everything else should be absolutely fine going forward. Okay. First things first, shout out to Optech, who is going to be helping me out with some Warlock guides for my channel. He is one of the first to sign up to do so. Going to be pretty awesome. As to how we're going to do that, well, we'll figure it out. A shout out to Kojin, iKill, Litreaver, Boozy, and I Like Big Buttons for the nostalgia trip a few nights ago with the glorious YouTube spam of old cartoon themes. That's from Ayomo. A shout out to Oblivion on Dathramar. Fantastic raiding with you guys. No more Qua to wipe us on trash. That's from Red Vengeance, I believe. Shout out to Swampy for knitting her way to victory. That's from Yakabun. A shout out to Dark Nova and Alex Strazi US. I am not doing shout outs in the channel. Send me a PM, you idiots. Good lord. See, I'm going to have to actually moderate this. I'm not doing shout-outs in this channel. PM me, you nubs. There. Okay. Shout-out to Cataclysm for being awesome. That's from Lincoln. A shout-out to me for persevering through the old crappy 1-to-60 leveling content. That's from Akalis. A shout-out to Tyler Johnston, just because. A shout-out to the Syndicate... Oh, God. Freaking Twitter just disappeared. Work better. Bend to my will. Shout out to Trollface the JB, because it's going to be awesome. That's from Jesper Carlson. Shout out to the Sworn Enemy Guild and Agramar, who is struggling right now. That is from Cyberlike Vox. Shout out to the Syndicate mobs getting slaughtered on Lightning's Blade EU for my Ravenhold rep. That's from Grimeld. A shout out to the Rawcast crew, even though that is now somewhat disappeared. Oh, you sent me a DM. How dare you? A shout out to the Rawcast crew, said to cover all of BlizzCon. It's going to be a blast. That is from Stompolina. Shout out to Grey Raiders. And a shout out to Softcore 10-man raiding guild on Kazakh EU. Nemesis order for downing Syndragos at 25 as well. And a shout out to Modus Vivendi on Wormrest Accord US. That's from Sevelin. And a shout out to Baspian for not failing as a healer from Aces. Please don't hack my account with my email. Hack the Gibson, man! Universally stupid. A shout out to Skull and Bones on Hellscream US, home of accidental awesomeness. Vote Veg 2012. I don't know what you're saying. No, DCC chat is dumb, use PMs. Shout out to Morgan for being awesome, that's from Lucius North, bloody furries. And a shout out to you for mentioning Egosoft last week. It's Pooh Bar. By the way, recommendation, you might have seen that new, what is it, X Superbox on Steam. Don't buy the Superbox, just buy X3 Terran Conflict. That's all you need to buy, seriously. Just get X3 Terran Conflict. The rest of the games, you don't really need to buy them because X3 is just better than all of them. We're done, folks. Thank you ever so much for listening to the show right here on Cynicalbrit.com. Those who won the contest, that being the poster contest, not the beta contest, you will need to contact me via PM on the forums to claim your prizes. And one last thing, I will be at the Stratlan this weekend, which means I won't do a show, but I will reschedule it. I will do the next show on Tuesday. It will be a Tuesday assault. That's the 19th of October. That will be when I'll do the next Blue Plz show, because like I said, I am at a big LAN next weekend, so I will not be available to do the show, and I will of course be stockpiling videos and stuff like that. So yeah, Tuesday, and of course the podcast will be available as usual. Thank you for listening, folks. We can go out on something. The question is what? There are so many good tracks available. But you know what I haven't heard in ages? A little bit of Machine Head. Oh, yes. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's also not particularly bad to play something that's very well known from Machine Head. Because you know why it's well known? Because it's an excellent track. It goes by the name of Davidian, folks. Thank you for listening. Good night. You have been listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz, WoW's #1 shock jock show, only on Cynicalbrit.com. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to leave a comment on the Cynicalbrit website or write a review of the show on iTunes. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.